Like going to sleep is having, more inhibitory inputs than excitatory, but your brain's still like releasing adrenaline. Like all these things are dynamic. They're always being released. It's just the ratios. Like how much gas on your brain versus how much brakes kind of dictates where you can go.
You mentioned Cerebrolysin in our previous video. I wanted to do like a full separate video discussing on, like, do you have experience with Cerebrolysin from your PhD perspective? What do you think of it? And would it be safe for me to start pinning that for my lion's mane, central nervous system, brain damage, or some receptors, or whatever is actually going on? Do you see that being more harm than good? Or like, I want to hear a PhD perspective, because if you go read my comments, everyone's angry that I haven't started pinning that yet, basically. Yeah. They're all pointing like right there. That's what I should be doing for the fastest recovery. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I personally never used it, but I definitely think it's, such a loaded question, because we're in completely uncharted waters here. But I would think that if you rewired something, it's also not just high BDNF rewiring. You got to think about this too. You're stimulating neuroplasticity. It also depends on whatever brain chemistry is going on. So while you were getting that increased neuroplasticity, it also takes all the other cellular inputs. So like, yes, your brain was increased, higher plasticity, more malleable, but you were also binding that kappa opioid receptor. So I would think that as long as you're not taking something that boosts neuroplasticity, that also activates the kappa opioid receptor, that also may be blocking the 5AR, I think that it's pretty low chance that it ends up further rewiring down that path, if that makes sense. Like you need other cellular inputs, cellular pathways to kind of dictate what type of circuitry is formed. Now, is there concrete data for this? Not necessarily. Like they don't say, oh, add more dopamine with this circuitry grows. Just thinking intuitively about this, cells are constantly getting different inputs. They're getting, like going to sleep is having, more inhibitory inputs than excitatory, but your brain's still like releasing adrenaline. Like all these things are dynamic. They're always being released. It's just the ratios. Like how much gas on your brain versus how much brakes kind of dictates where you can go. But yeah, does that make sense? I think if you're inducing neuroplasticity without those same instructions of remodel towards this way, this is especially total hypothesis, maybe having some of those things while also boosting dopamine may possibly be able to work as well. Rather than you were having inputs from the kappa opioid activation that lowers dopamine while you were in this neuroplastic state. So maybe supplementing with, l-tyrosine while you're doing this may also be able to help in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm on ends about it because I've added so much stuff already. And Cerebrolysin is definitely, like you said, going back into uncharted waters for sure. But I kind of do agree with you that I feel like it would help based on what I've read of how people are like in Germany, where it's primarily used recovering from like harsh car accidents right after. So I definitely didn't do that much damage compared to someone who got destroyed.
No, not like a traumatic brain injury. But I think also what I mentioned before, so I experiment with a lot of things that boost BDNF, and like, that post-psychedelic afterglow, BDNF is sky high, that afterglow feeling you get. That probiotic I mentioned, it's called Cognibiotics by Optimizers, and that is the most potent on-demand BDNF booster that I've tried. I think that might be a better initial route. Like, I feel much happier, more enthusiastic, because that really jacks up the BDNF, but that seems a lot more, I guess I'll call it safer, than going right for the Cerebrolysin. I'll send you more information about that.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, anyone, it's Cognibiotics by Optimizers. I have a code Dr. Panz, DRPANZ, to save 10%, but Like it's 2 pills first thing in the morning. It's a probiotic. It's a cognibiotic. Like that's like, so instead of focusing on gut health, it focuses on feeding bacteria that go up the enteric neurons to boost BDNF and NGF in the actual brain, which is really, really fascinating. They recommend 2 pills. If I take 2, I'm literally like manic all day. Like all day, just like really, really, I take 1 and I notice that. So I definitely think that will help immediately with kind of just getting a little more like mood boosting effects. And then that in tandem also, the BDNF raising that will have immediate mood boosting effects, but also I think chronically over a couple of weeks or so, I think that would be a better first route than going right for the Cerebrolysin. Yeah.
What's your PhD perspective on Cerebrolysin? Just on the underground, it's blowing up, right? You know, everyone didn't really know what it was. CERN biohacker, rest in peace, Leo, and longevity. He basically almost healed like a whole tremor like that he had since a child from it, and he really brought it to light. What do you think of it being so popularized that now, you know, everyone just, you know how it is with steroids, right? Everyone jumps to Trenbolone right off the bat, where it's like now people with minor things.
That's the new standard. That's the new bottom shelf thing that you go and grab.
Yeah, immediately it's like, Russo, shut the fuck up. You're not taking Cerebrolysin, so we don't want to hear you complaining. Like, go take the thing that works. Like, what is your take on that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of just the same with just the internet in general, especially in the biohacking sphere, especially in the more underground biohacking sphere of things. Like I think lion's mane is basically like the new CBD, you know, the new curcumin. That's kind of how people are marketing it now. Yeah. And you know, it does make a lot of sense by how it functions, but it works until it doesn't. You know what I mean? And it's like, I wonder if someone made a Cerebrolysin recovery subreddit, like how many people would be on that? You know, I have no reason to believe that it'd be, you know, really popping, but like at the same point, no one knew anything about the lion's mane thing until that thing was kind of made. So having too much neuroplasticity, it's kind of hard to say exactly what the detriments of that can be, because that can also, like the neural stem cell population, that neurogenesis can kind of come from that. You know, there is some data saying that the way these stem cells divide, you can have they can divide and one stays a stem cell and then one turns into a new neuron. That's like asymmetric division. You can also have symmetric division where they can just grow as both stem cells, or both clones turn into that neuron. So there's, you know, if you think about it in the most pessimistic way, technically, if you're stimulating all these neurons to go symmetrically towards the neurons, are you depleting the neural stem cell pool over time? But it also depends on what you're using it for. You know, just like low dose microdosing it for like months and months and months just because you want a little nootropic boost. That to me, I don't think there's so many other modalities you can use to try and boost that. Now, if you're having traumatic brain injury or tremors or stuff like that, like, I don't know if this cognibiotics thing will be enough juice to do something like that. You know, if you have a stroke or something like that. The other thing could really be useful. Just the thing that sucks is that there's not going to be that much research into it because they're not really too interested in that. And now I think there's one other thing that may be useful. You ever hear of 7,8-dihydroxyflavone?
No.
So that is, you get that in Nootropics Depot. That binds the TRK beta receptor. That's the receptor that BDNF actually binds to. So this is a small molecule mimetic of BDNF. So you can either, or possibly both, take that probiotic to boost BDNF in the brain, so more of it binds those receptors, and or you could also take this 7,8-DHF is the abbreviation. You could take that, and that'll also mimic BDNF, if that makes sense. So either you want more BDNF, or you want just that to specifically bind that. I tried that one and noticed really, really potent mood boosting effects as well. So those two are the most potent neuroplasticity boosters, things to raise BDNF that I personally notice I feel the best. You know, magnesium, it's something like it raises BDNF, sure, but that's more like you forget to take it, you feel more stressed. It's very rarely like, boom, I took that and like, boom, I feel it, you know? So that may be worth looking into as well.
Okay. Definitely send me an email of all this stuff.
Yeah,
I definitely. Want to read
I have
into
that same code, DRPANZ. I have one for the Nootropics Depot as well. But yeah, I mean, I'll look into any other possible mechanisms. I mean, shit, if there's 1,000 people that are suffering that drastically, and I mean,
I highly recommend you read into the Lion's Mane Recovery Reddit.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
Because it's kind of crazy. Like, you would, like, if I like didn't experience this, I would go in there and be like, what are these people talking about? But like, now that I've gone through it, I'm like, geez, because I thought my reaction was bad. Some of them are just like, it's like one dosing, or it's dosing it for 1 week.
That is the most surprising part to me.
It's going on over 2 years for some of them.
That is so shocking to me, above all else, that you take it for, I took it for 4 or 5 days. I felt a little off. I pulled myself out of the hole. Like, that makes sense. But taking this for even less than that and being ruined for years and years and years just is really, really perplexing. But yeah, I'll definitely look into that more because, like I said, this is right up my alley. Like, I'm the most pro supplement guy you could be, but it needs to be guided and personalized because, and this is where in my, you know, whether it's a utopian or dystopian future, you know, if everyone got genetically sequenced, I would love to be able to reverse engineer this and figure out what mutations are going on here. Is there actually a correlation with that? Because that would be incredible. And then, you know, if someone has, let me think. So then if someone has high DHC, technically lion's mane could be beneficial for hair loss, if you get what I'm saying, because if it's mimicking finasteride. So you see how, you know, one person's literal poison can be beneficial for someone else, just depending on if those mechanisms align with your unique biology.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on, Doctor.
Absolutely.
I will have everything in the description below if you guys want to get in contact with him. And he does completely personalized plans, and I think he showcased over these 2 videos his expertise on, you know, pulling people out of the gutter, as well as, you know, implementing a plan based on your specific genetics. And I think you do genetic testing on some of your clients, right?
Well, that's actually all I do. Yeah, for all my clients, that's the first step, because that's what really lets, it can be surprisingly, I don't want to say, I guess sort of easy from my point of view, because as you get this data over time, figure out what's working for people, you can see, oh, that's why this doesn't work because of this thing there. So it kind of removes a lot of the guesswork. Instead of go for this functional lab to test this possible parasite, this or that, people tell me I spent 80 grand on functional labs the past year and got no results. You know, that's why I love the genetics. You always get results. We all have these mutations, and they're locked in from the day you're born to the day you die. But yeah, everyone, you know, feel free to reach out. I'm going to do some more research into this. Really want to help. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, I hope all you guys, you know, maybe experiment with some of the things we mentioned here. Love to get some feedback. I'm going to make a Dr. Tyler Panzner Reddit account and probably start posting on that as well to try and get some feedback from people.
Definitely read the Lion's Mane Recovery. It's very, very interesting, and I wouldn't believe it unless I'm going through it currently. So I will see you guys in my next video.